After a really long break, Let's Talk Shop is back. This podcast is for product businesses where I speak to both retail buyers and brand owners about what it's really like to grow a retail business. My name is Therese, and my mission is to help you build and scale a profitable product business through wholesale. And today, for my first guest back, I'm joined by Sakina, who's the co-founder of the Somerset Toiletry Co. The business was founded back in 1999 by Roger and Sakina, and over the years the company has been recognized for many prestigious awards in business and design, including the Queen's Award for Enterprise. The Somerset Toiletry Co can be found in most UK high streets and garden centres and are now sold in over 50 countries worldwide. And they also run a cafe and a gift shop in Somerset where they're based. And they also give space to a homeless charity called Billy Chip. So hi, Sakina. Welcome to Let's Talk Shop. I am so happy to have you here today.
Lovely to be here with you, Therese. Thank you very much.
So 24 years in business, that's impressive.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I've kind of grown up in this business. Yes, we're really excited about our 25th year where we're doing a number of charity events and a walk. And we've changed a lot over 24 years. We've learned a lot. We've grown, and we're very, very happy to still be here.
Yeah, I mean, through like several recessions by now and
Yes.
and everything, that's impressive.
Yeah, yes. I mean, and I think one of the interesting things for us was during the first recession in 2007, 2008, we really had to change our business because of that recession. And actually, it's made us a much more rounded company. So I think some of these things that come out and of nowhere and whack you, you either do or die from them. And I'm very pleased to say we did rather than died.
Well, I think that's amazing achievements. And how can you talk a little bit about how it started? Do you remember what it was like?
Yes. So we used to have another company where we manufactured and made products, and we franchised. So we only did franchise stores, and we did that internationally. We got up to about 125 stores. And we had a lot of stores in Asia. And then in the late 90s, the Asian market collapsed. So some of those stores closed down. It was very clear that was the time to sell that company. But we loved the design and we loved the formulation. So when we started this company, because we sold that company, when we started this company, we decided we were going to concentrate on design and formulating and the sales, which is really what we loved. And we weren't going to manufacture, although we have since in the last few years gone back into manufacture, but we wanted to concentrate on what we felt were our strengths.
And was that business also around toiletries and things?
Yes, so that was a toiletry company. So essentially, my husband, who sadly died 6 years ago, but he'd been an entrepreneur for a long time, and he was mainly actually in the computer entertainment, so making software products. Previous to that, he was in publishing. So it had been a move, which is a long story about how we got into toiletries. But I, at that point, having had a couple of different careers, was an aromatherapist. And so we met and we started this toiletry company together. And he really taught me about no matter the cost of a product, making it with great integrity and beauty. And so we've come to the fore of the market in making products that are, whether they're trendy or traditional or kind of wacky, but always making the design and the formulation the core of what you're doing. And then we sell those in the marketplace place at very reasonable prices. So we get our customer very much through them shopping and liking the product and continuing to buy it and telling their friends. We don't put any money into advertising. So we're able to sell at a very reasonable price for products that, if you look at the ingredients and you look at the packaging, you could either compare them to other products that are maybe 10 to 20 pounds more, or certainly if I compare the ingredients, I know that I could sell them at a lot more. But we're very much about wanting these products to be reasonably priced. So our tagline is luxury products at reasonable pricing.
That's amazing. And I guess that's very now too. So that carries all the time, right? Through all
Yes,
economies.
yes. So I mean, we do gift products, but we make soaps, we make shower gels. So they are products that everybody needs. And then there's gifting around that. So it can be products that you give away, but they are products that, no matter the economy, people still, whether it's using a bar of soap to clean yourself, which we need, or whether it's hand creams and body lotions, or a room fragrance, which maybe is a little bit of a luxury when the economy's down. But especially, we saw that obviously during the pandemic, that everybody had to do everything from home. So you wanted your house to smell nice. You wanted your bathroom to smell like a spa. You needed to look after your own skin, your own hands. So yes, it's something that we can all use at home.
And what was your first product that you made?
Oh, you're out now, 25 years ago. You're really making my memory work here. We no longer, the first product. So this is what happened to us, and this is what I was alluding to before. We went to our first trade show in 1999 with a group of products, and we had a couple of large retail groups from the United States come onto our stand and like what they saw and understood that we had designers and that we designed, and they asked us to design for them. So we had started the company thinking we were going to make and distribute our own products. And we ended up essentially, for the first 9 years, 10 years of our business, really making private label for large retail groups. But when the economy crashed in 2008, was it?
Yeah, I think so. That's when I started in industry. That
Okay.
year.
Yeah. So when the economy crashed, we realized that we had all of our eggs in a couple of different baskets. And of course, there were lots of companies going bust, unfortunately, and they were able to buy product pennies in the dollar. So we really looked at what we were doing, and it was then that we decided that we had to expand. So it was then that we went back to doing our own products as well as doing private label. And that's when we started expanding in the UK as well as in export. So it was a real lesson to us to make sure that, yeah, you've got lots of eggs out there, not just one basket with a few. So those products that we initially did, to answer your question, those were sold on to those to those large retail groups. And it was really in 2009 that we started two product lines that we still have today, which is our triple A line and our Naturally European line. And they're really in different sectors of the market. So our triple A line is very floral, and it's a very inexpensive line. So we sell almost all the products in there, unless they're gift packs, for £4.45. For a long, long time, they were £3.95. But with the economy in the last few years, we've had to put the price up, sadly. And then our Naturally European line sells closer, it's around £10. So we have different parts of the market they appeal to. Now we have lots of other products now, but those two lines have remained. And over the years, we've added product. We take some product out. We've changed fragrances. We've still got the core fragrances, but as trends change and as fragrance likes change, we keep up with the times and we add different products in, but we're keeping those same core brands, which still sell day in, day out. I'm very happy to say.
And great price points too.
Yes, yeah. So we try and, we have some things up to £20, but if we can try and keep things below 10 or around the 10 to £12 mark, that's what we try and do to make things really affordable.
What does the business look like today? How many stockists do you have?
So I couldn't tell you how many, but I can tell you that we are in most garden centres in the UK. And so we have salespeople across Britain in different parts of the country. So we'll be in a lot of independent shops in all over the country and a lot of garden centres. And then we have a few products and sometimes our AAA that will go into some pharmacies. And then we work either with a distributor in various countries, or we work if there is a department store chain that has quite a lot of shops, then we may work directly with a department store chain, or we'll work with a distributor who sell like us into different department stores and gift stores in their country. So yeah, we're selling to quite a lot of people, which is
I bet loads. Are some of those early customers still with you today?
a lot of them. Yes, I'm
That's
very, I mean, to the point where, because we go to various trade shows in the year, it's like seeing old friends now. Some of the people that come to the stand, it's really, really lovely when you're seeing the same people. We're still thrilled whenever we get new customers when they come to the trade show stand, when our salespeople go and visit them. But yeah, seeing all old people that we have long had a relationship with that do feel like old friends, that is a thrill. And being able to talk to them about the changes we've made and what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And that's also been really exciting. You also discussed earlier about the fact that we have opened a storefront and a cafe. And we did that. Actually, we did that. We bought a new property right before COVID, and we were preparing it when we were allowed to through COVID. And we kept on opening and closing as everybody was allowed to open and close. But that has been a huge thrill for us because it means that we get to meet our customers, the end customer, not just the shop owners now, but we meet the end customers here. Basically, we have our offices upstairs and the cafe and the shop downstairs. So I love going down into the shop and talking to people about what they like and what price points they think are really good for them, and just chatting with people. It's really added a whole new dimension to what we do because we speak directly to our customers.
And has it changed your product development?
In truth, I think it's our store owners that guide us more in terms of if they see a trend that we haven't seen. Although, because we're also working with large retail groups, we get that insight from them. So that's a really nice, it's quite circular that we get insights from different people. So we do get some insights from some of our customers. We do get insights from the shops. We do get insights from the large retail groups. And then, of course, we have people going out into shops and we have people working in export. So we're seeing all sorts of trends happening. And then we work with a great fragrance house that are also on top of the trends in fragrance and essential oils. So yeah, everything feeds into everything.
Yeah.
And every year, and I quite often we'll get to the end of a year of developing new product, which we bring out new product twice a year, the bulk being in January, February for the early trade shows. And then we'll often add in a few bits and bobs and then Christmas items later in the year. And every year I think, God, what are we going to do next year? We brought out, but it's amazing how every year we often are having to say, we'll have to leave that for next year because we have too many ideas or
Yeah.
too many things coming on board. Like we've gotten into quite a few men's and unisex products recently. We found actually even a lot of women really love the unisex or the men's products because the fragrances with them are often have a whole different character than our women's products do. And it's really trending these days.
And how big is the team now?
So here at the office, we are about 30 people. And then we have a warehouse where everything's shipped out from. And there we have 12 people. And then we have a soap factory. So we opened a soap manufacturing factory 3 years ago. And that changes with the season. So we probably have a core of about 15 people in there, but we hire agency staff throughout the year when we have, especially leading up to Christmas. Last time we had a summer party about 4 weeks ago, I think we rented a boat, and I think there were about 65 of us on the boat.
Oh, wow.
Because we also have salespeople who are out on the ground, and yeah.
And how's your role changed throughout the years? Like, because I guess you started as a bit of a creative since you had that aromatherapy background.
Well, yes. So when it was my husband and I, he was very much he loved business and he loved sales, but he also loved the creative side of things. And I very much looked after people and personnel and I also worked with him on new product development and looking at the formulations because of adding in ingredients that are active ingredients as well as essential oils. And then sadly, when he died, I ended up running the business, but knew that for me, the creative side of things was much more my strength. And after 2 years, I hired a CEO, Brett, who's brilliant, who's been in the industry for years. So I was able to go back to what I did. And recently, my eldest son has joined, having worked out for a couple of companies before coming here. And for me, it's back to being a family business, because I'm getting a bit long in the tooth now. But he's taking over some of the things that he works with me on, product development, and with a couple of designers that we have 8 different designers and then art workers. So we're working with all of them all the time. But yeah, he's dabbling his feet into all different aspects of the company, from sales to production to new product development. So he gets a feel for the whole company. But that's allowed me to go back to my love, which is product development and ingredients, and kind of just, chatting to all the people that work here. Because
What do the more fun things?
yeah, I think they're the more fun things. I don't know.
You-
I don't know if it's everybody's cup of tea, because I
Yeah,
guess if you're a numbers person, this would
yeah,
not be your thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I love that side. And we have such a dedicated, wonderful team, whether it's in the soap factory, in the warehouse, here. We have a really nice group of people. And I just think that makes all the difference in a company. Everybody's working to the same goal. Everybody gets excited when we have new products launching. I like it. I think it's a really lovely company.
Well, it sounds great. What kind of advice would you give someone that is starting in the industry now?
So the industry is quite different now than it was 24 years ago, because legislation has become much stricter. Legislation changes more often. Since we Brexited, there's all sorts of things now that we have to do that we didn't have to do before, i.e. there was a portal that you put all your products on in Europe. Now we have to do it in England, in Britain, as well as in Europe. There is a lot more, there's a lot more legislation. So you have to be prepared for that. It's all well and good. I used to say you need to have passion and you need to have drive and you need to be willing to work all the hours that you can, and you need, like in the early days, my house was used as collateral for the company. So you need to be
Yeah,
able to, you also now need to have somebody that understands all the legislation, which
yeah.
of course, there used to be legislation, but it's gotten tighter and tighter and more controlling, and it's grown and grown, and it changes so much more. So you do need to be prepared for that. But, it is the same old thing. It needs to be products you love, and you do want to love dealing with people, because ultimately it is a people business. You're constantly making relationships with other people for them to, it's such a thrill when people will take some of their space in a shop and dedicate it to us. So you want those products to sell through. So you do need to have a feel for what the market is looking for. That would be the thing that's changed. It's not just the passion, but it's also understanding all the legalities that go with that now.
I found that a lot of my clients that are smaller, say candle makers, I use candles because they're so popular now, but
Yes,
because of the whole Brexit thing, it's become really hard. It's one
yes.
thing if you have a team and you can keep on top of it, but to to export fragrances into Europe has become much harder
E-
than it
e-
used to be.
Everything has become harder. The paperwork trail now is crazy. The cost of shipping is crazy. So I feel very lucky that we did start 24 years ago, because I wonder if in those first 10 years, when we did a lot of export in those first 10 years before we really concentrated in growing our UK market, would we have survived what's gone on in the last 6 years? I don't know if we would have. So it has become a more difficult playing field for business. And oh, well, I still to this day hope that we reverse that one day. I hope that we return to the European Union, because life was just much easier when, the border was open. Most businesses would tell you the same thing. And I think, sadly, even those people years ago that wanted to Brexit, I think a lot of those have realized just how much more expensive it's, just food in the supermarkets.
Yeah.
Everything is so much more expensive now because there's not open borders, and the food growers, like the ingredients growers in Europe, if they can sell to Europe and not have to deal with the cost of shipping and the delays in shipping and the hassle of shipping and the paperwork of shipping, they're always going to choose somebody in Europe to ship to rather than the UK. And they're going to charge us for it when we do bring things in. So yes, it has not been easy, but and sadly, we've seen quite a lot of people on the high streets close down. We've seen quite a lot of companies close down. So I do hope that things open up again.
I'm with you on that
Yeah.
completely. How's this year been so far in terms of business? Has it been a shift in spending or what
I
people are investing?
it's very interesting. Last year, post Brexit, we went crazy. It was really, really, really busy. We had a really great year. And although we'll do almost the same this year, I think it's been more of a people are being more conservative with what they spend. When we go to trade shows, people are ordering later and later. If you can do a Christmas product that doesn't look absolutely Christmas so that it can still be sold after Christmas, there's more of those sorts of things being sold, because nobody really knows what is going on in the market at the moment. With
Mhm.
obviously with interest rate rises and lots of people closing down and business rates being quite expensive, everybody's having to be very, very careful. And I think the people potentially that are not having to deal with it quite as much are places like garden centres, which are out of the cities and they don't have the rates that inner city shops have to pay, and where people can go and park for free. I think they're still doing very well. But, some of the high streets, and I'm sure things like ULEZ is going to change, whether there's an argument for both, isn't there? Of course you want
Yeah.
clean air, but then you've got businesses, if they don't have the people driving to see them, how are they going to survive? So the world, in all sorts of ways, whether it's the economy or whether it's the environmental issues, it is a very changing landscape, and we're putting more and more of our energy into becoming more environmentally sound, which is why we opened a manufacturing facility here so that it's on the doorstep and we're not having to ship from another country here or from the other side of the country to our office in order to send product out. We've gotten rid of a lot of plastics, and we are trying very hard to become as environmentally sound as we can. But all of that costs money. And as you're changing packaging, as you're, for example, our soap base that we use, it comes only from Papua New Guinea or the Solomon Islands, because there's no orangutans and there's no endangered species. So you can grow palm, which is a really great ingredient in a soap. And it gets a lot of bad rap because everybody's growing it.
Yeah.
And we're unfortunately ruining the habitats for a lot of animals. But we only get it from Papua New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. And that also comes where farmers there get they're part of a cooperative. So they get proper money for what they're selling. So we're not endangering animals. We're giving people in a couple of countries that really have very little, they're getting money. And when you see the farmers there as opposed to farmers who are providing palm where there isn't a cooperative, those are the sorts of decisions we try and make. It ends up costing us more money, but we feel that they're the right decisions to make. So we're constantly wrestling with trying to do the right thing and also trying to make sure our products are still really well priced. And that's a
That's a tricky
constant,
one.
yeah, that is really a tricky one. So yeah, when we had to put our AAA line up by 50p, we'd had it at that price for so long, but you just at some point realize you're just not, we have to make money to pay our employees and to continue doing the things we're doing. So those are the decisions you make, and that's the economy we're living in. And I think, with the environmental changes, that's probably going to get worse for a little while, as we switch from fossil fuels to wind power and all the other things that we're trying to do to make sure that we're looking after our environment. So yeah, in business, you think you've gotten to a point where you go, actually, we've been around for a long time. We're in a lot of stores now where, your heart isn't racing all the time. Are they going to take my house away? And you get to that point, but there's constant challenges,
Yeah.
and you really do have to love a challenge. You really have to know that if you're in business, it's never an easy ride. There's always going to be things coming up. If you're going to stay in business, you have to still continue to enjoy those challenges.
Absolutely. And when you did put the prices up by 50p,
Yes.
and obviously for good reasons,
Yes.
but how was that met by your retailers?
Our retails actually didn't blink because everybody was putting their prices up, and we had waited longer to put our pricing up, and a 50p price rise was actually quite nominal compared to some of the price rises they were having. Now, for the end consumer, it's hard for us to say we haven't seen a dip in sales, but I imagine for some of those consumers, 50p makes a difference. And of course, yeah, we don't like that. We want people to be able to afford our products. But, yeah, we have to be able to afford to stay in business.
And a lot of people are relying on income from your employment too.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
can you share any big or small wins that you had this year?
Well, I can certainly say during COVID times, we had a big win because we were in the garden centres, which didn't get closed down.
Of course.
And our internet sales went mad, even though lots of other parts of the business went down. This year, some of the wins, I think I said to you, we were doing more and more men's and unisex products, and those have gone really, really well. For me, you know, our teams just get better and better and better, whether it's in marketing or everybody somehow gets better and better. And for me, a big win this year has been my son joining, and because he's doing product development, you've got me who's at an older age creating product for an older. I mean, I try to create product for younger people, but I'm not a younger person. So my son has come in and he's in his 20s and he's looking at products that younger people want. So I think for us, we've got a much more rounded offering. I think opening the manufacturing, which really came on board last year, but last year, you know, when you're first starting manufacturing, you have a year often, or it could be longer or shorter, where you're sorting all the problems out. And this year we've sorted those problems out and we're thrilled to have found this soap base. So that's been a big win for us, actually doing some of our own manufacture. June was a win because it had great weather. July's been horrible because of the dreadful weather.
The garden centres can't have been as busy in July as June.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really think that the high street has suffered from that. People not wanting to go out, people not buying summer clothing. So weather is funny. You know, we're in England, we talk about the weather a lot, but weather does play a part in how much people shop.
Yeah.
So if you put that on top of the economy, I think it's been a tricky summer for a lot of people.
And what about future plans? What's next for the business?
Future plans. So we're now in a pub, which is a converted pub, and we have 2.5 acres here. So we've got a whole plan for building and expanding our offices and expanding our own retail and expanding our cafe. We're right in the middle of the countryside, which is lovely for our creativity and smelling the seasons and thinking about what fragrances and essential oils go into things. There's not a lot around here, so we're actually wanting to expand what we can offer our customers who are close to where we are. So we've got a lot of building plans in the future. We're expanding our soap manufacturing. I could imagine us perhaps manufacturing a couple of other things coming up in the next few years, but we don't want to manufacture so much that it takes away from our other strengths.
Yeah.
But we see that we could probably do some other items. So those are the sorts of things. It will be expanding our product range, but really expanding what we've got here in Somerset.
That's exciting.
It is.
It will become like a proper destination for people.
I would love that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for sharing about your business journey. And if listeners want to find out more about your business and buy your products, where can they find you? Online, we're the Somerset Toiletry Co.co.uk. Instagram, the Somerset Toiletry Company. Our cafe is the Soap Bar Cafe. And then we are in most garden centres, lots of shops on the high street. So our product lines are Naturally European, AAA, Sandalwood Country Club. There's so many others. But if you see them online, I think people would start recognizing them and seeing them in shops as well. I'm sure you would. I'm sure of it. And of course, you can go to the show notes when you're listening to this, and you can find all the links there as well. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.